So do you want to know why my friend almost lost her arm? Science. But not any kind of science. It's science that involves you and me. But how so? Yeah, tell me, how so? So everyone lives in a house, right? You, me. And what people do in houses? They sleep, and other than eating, they also consume stuff. But which kind of stuff? Organics and not organics. And what's the result of that? Yes, tell me what is the result of that. We produce waste. So let's give some examples on waste. Food waste, garden waste, paper, new paper, newspaper, old paper, and old newspaper. However, organics do not only include degradable, they also include non-degradable. Because remember, the definition of organic materials is anything which structure is based on carbon atoms. There are many materials made with carbon, and that also includes plastics. But we also have not organics, and some examples are glasses and metal. Just kidding, I actually need this. And when you put all the household waste together, you get Municipal Solid Waste, or MSW for short. And where do you think the MSW ends up? Landfills, incineration, maybe recycling? You are correct. However, let me tell you, remember what we said about organics? Yes, that they're made out of carbon. Exactly! And carbon molecules have a bunch of energy. And what about that? Well, there is a way to harvest that energy instead of just throwing it to the trash, literally. And even though incineration is one way to get energy from the waste, there are more efficient methods. And that is the reason why my friend almost lost her arm. Which is not true, just kidding, she was protected and everything. An efficient way to harvest the energy from the organic components of the MSW, it's what we call pyrolysis. Pyrolysis. And the purpose of our project is to calculate how much energy content the MSW of Monterrey, my city, contains. And with pyrolysis, how much we could harvest. So with that said, let's get started on what we did on our pyrolysis experiment. Let's get going! First, we did a sample of what the MSW of Monterrey would be. 46% of organic material, 26.5% of plastic, 23.1% of paper and cardboard, and the rest, 4.4% of textile. We did not include glass or metals on our sample because of something, but we'll come back to that one. We'll come back. Remember our first scene? My friend was getting something out of an oven. Well, those were the containers where our samples were made. And what were they made for? We put 1 gram of the MSW sample, of course, with the percentages that I already said, in order to analyze the energy content, the ash percentage, the volatile matter percentage, and the fixed carbon percentage. And I'm gonna explain those in a bit. But I wanna say why we were playing with the oven. Our samples were very little, just 1 gram. Therefore, we want to be as constant as possible. So we needed to get rid of all the humidity on our containers. And this process of humidity elimination required for us to put the containers in the oven several times at high temperatures till we had a constant weight. And we need to dry it as much as possible. But why? Because water makes our process inefficient. It sucks up the energy in order to evaporate. And that energy means a lot to us. So we say thanks water, but you can leave. So now, remember what I said of ash, volatile matter, and fixed carbon. Ashes are the mineral parts of all the sample. Remember, we want to know how much energy content is on our sample. And to know that, we need to pretty much know what would burn. Ashes are the mineral part which will not burn, or in other words, does not have organic compounds. And we want as much carbon molecules as we can in order to produce energy. And what is volatile matter? And what about the fixed carbon? Fixed carbon. Fixed carbon is a part of the sample which is made of bigger carbon structures, even three-dimensional carbon structures. And an example of this would be graphite or diamonds. Of course, we don't have diamonds on our sample, but it's for you to understand. And what is volatile matter? Chemically speaking, volatile matter is made of long-chain carbon compounds, such as paraffins, olefins, anything with fins. So ashes are the minerals that won't burn. Volatile matter is made of carbon compounds with long chains of carbons. And fixed carbon are carbon compounds too, but with bigger structures and even three-dimensional. So after we got it, we analyzed it on a calorimeter bomb. And also we conduct other tests to know how much it changes before and after the pyrolysis. Because this tells us a lot about the efficiency and about the byproducts of the whole process. And our results were this: 6.58% of ash, 85.45% of volatile matter, 7.95% of fixed carbon, and the overall energy content of our sample was of 5,465.68 calories per gram. And now we get to the fun part, the pyrolysis! For the pyrolysis experiment, we had a bigger sample with the same percentages that we already said. We put the sample inside the reactor, which was heated with a resistance. And we try to keep the process in absence of oxygen, because we don't want oxygen. And this is where I'm going to explain the sole purpose of pyrolysis. The process of pyrolysis makes all organic compounds to transform in gases, which are called syngas. And this syngas can be used as a fuel, because what you are doing with the carbon molecules is to break them apart. So long chains of carbons become shorter chains, such as methane, ethane, butane, which have small carbon chains. And you can see that in these formulas, or these formulas. So that's what we want to do with pyrolysis. But hey, all the matter transforms into gas? Oh, no. Of course, we have byproducts, a liquid part and a solid part. And what do we do with those? Well, both the liquid and the solid have a lot of concentrated carbon. Oh, wait, so I know. Concentrated carbon means a lot of energy. Man, you're a genius. So also the other byproducts can be used as a fuel because they have very high carbon content. And if we have oxygen inside our reactor, instead of producing the very valuable syngas, we will also produce a lot of carbon dioxide. So we got our results, we had our three phases, the gas, the liquid, and the solid, and we analyzed them later. So let's get to the results. So all the product of the pyrolysis experiment was in three fractions, and the percentages of these were, for the solid fraction, 28.82%, for the liquid fraction, 33.9%, and for the gas fraction, 37.29%. Then we did a energy and mass balance to see how much mass we had as a product and how much energy too. And remember, we weren't planning on breaking physics, so for the mass balance, we wanted it to be exactly the same. But of course, first we have just solids, and after the pyrolysis we had solid, liquid, and gas. And now what we have is a bunch of products very rich in carbon and very rich in energy, which can be used as a fuel. But how much energy they had? The gas product had 635.44 kilocalories. The liquid product had 634.75 kilocalories, and the solid product had 513.57 kilocalories. So in total, our total energy content of our products was of 1,783.77 kilocalories. And if we compare that to 2,153.65, which was the initial content of our sample before the pyrolysis process, we see that the percentage recovered is of 82.83%, which is the efficiency of our pyrolysis process. And what is this number telling us? That from the MSW, according to our results, you can get back 82.83% of the total energy of the sample. So if it's a gram, it's not that much. But think about how much waste it produced in Monterrey. Data from INEGI, which is a very reliable source of information for anything that you need to know from Mexico. In Monterrey and its metropolitan area, 4,000 tons are produced daily. You know how much is that? A bunch! So imagine if we could scale up our experiment. Because according to our results, a ton of MSW, of course from Monterrey, has an energy content of 24,170 megajoules. And to put that in perspective, this amount, it's a little less than the energy content in the most common fuels for electricity generation, such as oil, natural gas, and diesel. But we have to remember, these are not renewable. And I'm not saying MSW is renewable, but we have almost 4,000 of daily production in just one city. And giving a good use to this waste results in environmental benefits, economic benefits, and social benefits, which are the pillars of sustainability. As a last part, I would like to comment on the economic part. So, if we didn't have any pyrolysis or any method to harvest energy from the waste, let's pretend we could recycle all of this. So we also made a comparison between how much money you could get if you could recycle everything that is recyclable on the MSW, such as paper, plastics, metals, and textiles. And glasses. Dude, who recycles textiles? Just shut up. For the sake of the study, just pretending that you could recycle everything, since we have almost 50% of non-recyclable material, which is organics, which can account for food or garden waste, etc. The total value per ton of MSW would be just of 10 pesos. Actually, a little less, 9.20. Less than $1, guys. And how much money that same ton of MSW is worth in terms of energy. And we took in account, of course, the efficiency which we can convert thermal energy or energy content to electricity. And the economic value of the electricity that we would sell with the MSW is a little more than 7,000 pesos. Way more. Almost 700 times more. Of course, you have to take in account that the pyrolysis process has an extra cost. And you also have to include the transportation cost. However, many plants all around the world say that even if they buy their MSW from another country, they still have utilities of 50% or more. Therefore, it is economically feasible. So as a conclusion, we have a bunch of potential fuel. And sometimes it is a little harvested, but it could be better. But imagine how many cities are not doing anything at all. With these kind of projects, you can see the real value of what people normally just don't care at all. And even they don't want to see it. So hopefully guys, you really like our project. Thank you all for your attention and special thanks to all the team involved. Marifer Salazar, René Ríos, José Luis Salazar, Luisa Espino, Giancarlo Meléndez, and our dear professors, Dr. Alberto Mendoza and Dr. Porfirio Caballero. And we can't forget of the people that kept us from blowing ourselves up. Tomás Martínez and José Cortés. I am Alan Vela Rodriguez, and thank you so much for your attention.